Hello, and welcome to the new series by the Salty Ginger. Yeah, I can't do that voice forever. So I've been a lot of places, seen a lot of things. Some of them have been real weird. We're going to talk about my real weird things that I've seen. And we're going to call this new series Salty's Strange Stories. Yep, I just made that up. Salty's Strange Stories. This is episode 1, so let's get going. This is all gonna end with me running through the forest. I look into the forest, and I see this little monster-like thing, and it's gray, and it's staring at me, and it's terrifying, and we're gonna get there and talk more about that later. But some background. Part of me going a lot of places. I have lived a lot of places, obviously. We lived in Boston or near Boston for about 3 years, and we lived in a little town called Raynham, and it was south of Boston, not South Boston, but south of Boston, about 30 minutes south. And it was a real nice little town. Had everything that you could need in the town. Where we lived was kind of rural. Everyone had kind of big yards. Our yard backed up against this huge empty forest. There was nothing back there. And really the road that we lived on just kind of bordered this huge forest. And there was a couple of little turnouts on the road, like roads that went down, and it looked like they had meant to build something on these roads, but then they just didn't. So it just kind of went down, had a cul-de-sac of nothing in the forest, and that was it. So anyway, little bit more about this house, right? It was different. It had a different feel. The house was really old. For us, it was, and a lot of houses in the area were real old. Ours was, you could tell it was if you're familiar with the kind of architectural layout of a Cape Cod house, it's kind of boxy in there. Our house was a Cape Cod. It had been remodeled to open it up, but it was still really weird laid out, real creaky, it was old. It was just an old house. And so a lot of weird stuff would happen. We had this nice screened-in area on the back that kind of overlooked our big yard in the forest, and we could sit up there, not get bugged by bugs, and just chill and talk and enjoy being outside without the inconveniences of being outside. And I would go out there sometimes. I have 2 dogs, and I let them out at the end of the night. And so I would always go out and sit in the screened-in area while they would do their thing, so I could make sure they did their thing and come back in. And occasionally I would hear just these blood-curdling screams. They sound very human-like. I've been told it was a fox. I've heard a fox scream. It could have been a fox. I'm not convinced though. It was bone-chilling. That had happened a couple times. There's always strange noises back in the dark, back behind the fence. That probably was just animals, right? But there was more. This area, somewhere in that forest was the Hockomock Swamp. And a lot of strange things happened in the swamp. People would just vanish there. It happened while we lived there. Somebody was fleeing the police, and they just turned and they ran into the forest, and they never came out. And that was by far not the first time. It happens all the time. People go in there and they never ever come out. That definitely happened while we were there, real close to our house actually. And what else? So we had a big basement in this house. And we had one finished room in the basement, but the rest of it was just kind of open storage. And I had a Yeti cooler down there, and the Yeti cooler, I made sure, I always do this, right? I make sure it's dried out real good, and I close it, and it's got the 2 rubber latches, and I latch them. And that's just to make sure it's dried out right. I usually maybe put a pack of desiccant in there so it doesn't mold, and the basement was kind of moist. That's why I kept it moist. Nobody likes that word. But I kept it closed because it was nasty, and I didn't want the inside of the cooler to get nasty. So it was down there, and it had a couple, it's a bigger cooler, and I had a couple pictures on top of it. And then we just hear this big crash from downstairs. And I run down in the basement and look around, and the cooler the latches had been undone, and the lid opened, and all of the pictures that were on top of it had fallen and the glass broke and everything. But there's no way that that could have just happened on its own. Those latches, you have to pull them down and out. Dogs weren't down there. There's no explanation that makes sense, right, with following the whole physics science thing. And there were some other things like that, but kind of the other issues we'll talk more in other episodes because they followed us around. But I used to run. Moving on, right? That was creepy stuff that always happened in the house. I used to run. I didn't used to run. I still run. I like to get up early in the morning and go for a run, and I have for years. So I was running down the road one morning. It was light out. Just the sun had just, I don't think the sun was up yet, but it was light. That real like early morning light. And it was kind of chilly. I was in my warm stuff. And I was running down that road that our house was on. And there's a turnout on the road I don't normally take. I have a route that I take, and that's what I stick with. That way I tell my family this is where I run. I'm getting old, right? Someday I'll probably die running, and I want them to come find me because I want my ashes to be fired out of a t-shirt cannon, and if they can't find me, right, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, I changed my route for some reason. Just every now and then I'll randomly take a different way just to make it more exciting. And I turned down one of those roads that goes down into the forest and just kind of, there's a cul-de-sac and comes back out and there's nothing down there. And you see a lot of wildlife. You see deer sometimes, stuff like that. So I always would look in the forest as I'd run by it. And I was looking as I first entered this cul-de-sac. I'd say maybe about a quarter of the way through it, I would follow the edge of it around. And about a quarter of the way through it, it gives me willies just thinking about it. I could see there's like a hole in the brush, you know, like when there's a road, kind of the foliage kind of makes a wall. There's kind of a wall here, but it was definitely not solid. And there were little holes. And in one of the holes, about a quarter way through this cul-de-sac, there's this little being. It's gray, kind of grayish. Its arms were about as long as its body. Like he probably standing up straight could have touched the ground. He was maybe 2-3 feet tall, and he was hanging. He was just hanging from a tree, staring right at me, and it startled me. The first reaction was to immediately kind of jolt away and run to the other, like just straight in a straight line, directly away from the thing, because I didn't recognize what it was, and I don't know. I'm not one to mess with animals, even if they're peaceful. I don't know if you've seen the video with my deer story where I chased them through the woods, but animals live in the forest, right? That's their home. I shouldn't be there. Oh, I like to be there, but it's their home. If they're there, they can have it. Anyway, back to the story. As I was coming, probably maybe 10-15 feet away, I turned back just to kind of see its back. It had like weird, almost Sonic the Hedgehog type hairs on its back, and he kind of scampered off in the forest. I could just see his back going, not directly away, but kind of at an angle. And I really, and this is not me, I had the urge to go and kind of peek and see if maybe I could still see it. Like I said, that's not my normal thing. I normally will just, yep, that's an animal. It's so beautiful. Okay, bye. But I didn't. It scampered away, and I didn't want to kind of ruin my run time, so I just kept running. But it really was weird. Anyway, finished my run. Finished that day. Finished some more days. Right. My wife and I are flicking through, I think it was Amazon something, and we come across this documentary, and it's called The Bridgewater Triangle. Highly recommend you watch it. Boom, here it is on Amazon. You can find it anywhere on the internet. I think you probably have to pay for it, but it's pretty cheap. And anyway, we were like, Bridgewater, we were in like the Bridgewater area. Bridgewater was the bigger kind of suburb of Boston that was real near us. Bridgewater has its own university, right? It's kind of one of the landmark towns in there. So we're like, let's watch this. It's real close to us. Looked real creepy. And there's this triangle that our house was in the Bridgewater Triangle, and there's just a ton of weird stuff that happens in there, and it comes from, I think it's called the Wampanoag Indians, Native Americans, whatever tribe or people used to live in that area. They had a lot of like folklore, and this triangle goes back to as far as they can see in the Wampanoag like text or history. I don't think they have text drawings. I don't know, but as far as they can see back through the Wampanoag history, this triangle has been a thing, and weird things always happen in there. And there's a bunch of stories of kind of mystical creatures and things happening to the Wampanoag people and the modern people. That Hockomock swamp is in the triangle where people are always vanishing. There's a lot of strange sightings in the Wampanoag swamp. Or that's the people. I'm sorry, the Hockomock swamp. And there's just consistently, there's always been weird things happening in this area. And one of the things, the Wampanoag people believed in a creature called a Pukwudgie. And when you read about the Pukwudgie, apparently it was once friends with humans, but then it decided it wasn't friends, it hated humans, and it just causes trouble, all the way to death, right? It's known to stab people and kill them and drag them into the forest. But what it does is it lures them in. It appears to them, and it can shapeshift and appear and disappear as it wants. But it appears to humans, and something about it draws the humans to it, and then it kills them or maims them or kidnaps them or whatever. But the description of this Pukwudgie is pretty much exactly what I saw. A little like 2, 3, 4 foot thing. A lot of encounters have said it looks like a porcupine, almost like a humanoid porcupine, with colors being either gray or brown. Just exactly like what is described in the movie Bridgewater Triangle is exactly what I saw. My little terrifying Pukwudgie in Raynham, Massachusetts. But that's it. I survived, obviously. I'm here. Been chased by a deer. Had a Pukwudgie try to kill me in the forest of Massachusetts. Not a big deal. Can't get me. Part of that is this epic beard, right? And yeah, I didn't have the beard then, but we're gonna pretend like I did because I survived. What I'm getting at here is, if you have a beard and you know all the different things that you can put on your beard to keep it right, I found this company, Mad Viking Beard Company, and all their products are good. I use their beard wash, their beard conditioner, their oil. They have nice combs and brushes, but this beard balm comes in 16 different scents, and it's the only beard balm that I have found that doesn't leave your beard nasty and oily, right? It's really cool. If you have a beard, you should check this stuff out. Go to madvikingbeard.com. If you use the code SALTYGING, SALTYGING, you can save 10%. Hopefully that keeps going forever, but try it out. Get your beard big and strong so you can avoid death by Pukwudgie. So this series, Salty Strange Stories, we're gonna keep doing it. So keep checking. I hope to do it consistently once a week, but we'll see. I got a kind of crazy schedule right now, but check it out. There's more to come. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.